Guys, if you like Dragon Ball Hakai, today is the best day for you to subscribe to our Patreon. We started publishing about 3 pages a day of the next chapter of Dragon Ball Hakai. In addition, you will also have access to several other stories created by our team, including Dragon Ball Shinken. By collaborating with our Patreon, you help us keep Dragon Ball Hakai alive and have a lot of benefits. Become a member of our community too. The link is in the video description and in the pinned comment. I'm waiting for you there.
Previously on Dragon Ball Kakumei, Gohan chooses to embark on his training journey by going to Universe 11 and joining the Pride Troopers. After completing a difficult mission for the troop all by himself, he calls for his teammates and specifically asks to see Jiren. What is Gohan's plan? Why does he want to see Jiren? Find out now. Hakai. If you support us bringing Dragon Ball Kakumei to the channel, comment now with hashtag Dragon Ball Kakumei on Hakai. I want to know how many of you enjoy seeing this manga here on the channel. Also, give the video a like because it really helps the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the Hakai channel yet, do it now and activate notifications so you never miss a video when it's posted here. And also, I need to give a quick heads up for some of the less attentive folks. This video is not a repost. You've never seen this part of Dragon Ball Kakumei on the channel before. I have to say this because almost every Dragon Ball Kakumei video, some people comment that it's a repost, but it's not. You all need to pay attention to where you're watching stuff, because a lot of people watch a story on one channel and then accuse another of reposting when they also want to cover that story. This doesn't just happen here on the Hakai channel. I see it on other channels too. So be more mindful of this to avoid making unfair accusations, alright? Without further ado, enjoy the next part of Dragon Ball Kakumei. When Dispo and Jiren arrive to meet Gohan, they see a Saiyan who is extremely serious and focused. Dispo comments that after just a few months, Gohan is already unrecognizable and asks if Jiren expected this when he first joined them. Jiren admits that the only reason he agreed to give Gohan a chance was to repay their debt to Universe 7. However, today, he is happy to consider Gohan a brother. As serious as a true soldier, Gohan addresses his general, reporting that Planet Grill is now secure, as Kassaral had ordered. Kassaral says he didn't expect Gohan to be able to handle an entire army in just 3 days. However, in addition to the praise, he also offers a critique. It wasn't very useful to leave all the enemies alive. Gohan doesn't respond. Kassaral continues, emphasizing that this was a criminal organization that had been wanted for many months, and its members were responsible for many deaths and accidents. People like that don't deserve to be spared. Gohan says he understands Kassaral's point of view and apologizes for not completing the mission the way he would have liked. But if Earth taught him one thing, it's that today's enemies can become tomorrow's allies. Kassaral isn't too pleased with the response, telling Gohan not to get too lost in his own bubble. But in the end, he thanks him for the good work. Through the communicator, Kassaral orders that members numbered 54 to 71 be sent to Planet Grill because he'll need help dealing with a situation there. He's probably referring to arresting the entire army that Gohan knocked out. Jiren asks why Gohan wants him there, since the Saiyans specifically requested his presence. Gohan says he's been with them for 5 months now, and his goals are gradually being achieved, particularly because of Jiren. At this point, the manga takes us back 4 months to the moment we saw earlier when Gohan had just passed the test and joined the Pride Troopers, and Belmod had just returned from his near-death experience. Belmod says he crossed paths with death, but the current between them wasn't very strong, so he decided to come back. Surprised to see the former clown god, Gohan asks how long he's been awake. It's Kassaral who responds, explaining that Belmod came to during the integration mission, but he wanted to personally congratulate Gohan for joining the team. Belmod mentions, with a bit of disbelief, the fact that Goku's son has joined the Pride Troopers. Gohan understands the irony of it, but admits that none of this was in his plans, and that he would just be studying right now if it weren't for this whole situation. Belmod says that regardless of everything, Gohan is now part of their family and congratulates him for that. Toppo says that ever since Gohan arrived, one question has been on his mind. Why didn't Gohan decide to train with his own people? Vegeta, for example, could help him evolve much more than they could. Gohan responds that he's been very interested in their universe ever since the Tournament of Power, especially in their Supreme Kai. Belmod asks what's so interesting about Universe 11's Supreme Kai. Gohan explains that his potential was unlocked by an old Supreme Kai from Universe 7 a while back. So the power he has today is, in a way, thanks to a Supreme Kai. When he fell from the tournament arena along with Dispo, he later asked Shin about the Supreme Kai called Kai. The reason for this is that for some reason he can't quite explain. It seems like he and the Supreme Kais have been connected ever since he was in their planet, and he can sense their energy and potential. Margarita says that the world of the Supreme Kais is unlike any other, and very few mortals have ever set foot in it. Using the magic of her scepter, Margarita gets a glimpse into the past, probably through Gohan's memories, and she discovers that he even wore a Supreme Kai's uniform and the Potara earrings. This means that Kibito made Gohan a Kaioshin apprentice at that time. This should answer some of his questions. Jiren asks Gohan what Shin told him about Kai. Gohan says that Shin told him the Supreme Kais are born from golden fruits, and that among all the fruits destined to become Kaioshins, Kai was 3 times bigger. This explains why Kai has such a more intense ki than the others. In other words, Kai is not like the other gods of creation they know. Belmod is very intrigued. He realizes that Gohan knows what he's talking about and wonders what he's planning to do. Belmod confirms that Kai has a level of power that none of his other peers will ever have in their entire lives. He asks Gohan to get straight to the point and say what he's thinking. Gohan explains that after his potential was unlocked, he began to feel a certain discomfort in his stomach, giving him the sensation that something was only partially awakened. Jiren asks why he never mentioned this to the Elder Kai. Gohan says that time was against him at that moment. Besides, the Elder Kai had already made him much stronger than he'd ever been before, so he was satisfied. Margarita sums up Gohan's plan, pointing out that he feels his potential wasn't fully unlocked, and he intends to ask Kai to complete the process since Kai seems to be the most suitable among all the Supreme Kais. Gohan confirms this, saying he knows it's an absurd thing to ask, but before he can continue speaking, Margarita tells him to shut up and begins using her scepter's magic on him. Analyzing Gohan through her angelic magic, Margarita realizes that there does indeed seem to be something still dormant within him. She says that all the steps seem to have been followed, but not in the right order. Gohan asks what she means. Margarita explains that when a Supreme Kai unlocks someone's potential, there are several steps that must be followed in a very specific order, which requires extreme concentration. In fact, not all Kaioshins can unlock potential, only some can. She theorizes that the Elder Kai may not have been very strict when performing all the procedures. Gohan agrees with this, remembering what the Elder Kai was doing during the ritual. Margarita, already knowing the details from reading Gohan's memories, says this is a logical consequence of trusting a perverted god who ended up fused with a witch. Margarita adds that from what she's seen, not even half of Gohan's potential was unlocked. Far from it, actually. Furthermore, he seems to have connections with many people. A Saiyan father, an Earthling mother, his potential once unlocked by a Namekian, and then again by a god of creation. All of this leads Gohan down a path where his total awakening will be a success. After all this is explained, Gohan says he has no more doubts. He says he needs to reach his true limits, and for that, he'll need the help of all of them. In his mind, Gohan confesses that he's beginning to learn what it means to be a vigilant, and says he admires Goku for it. Gohan expresses his overwhelming gratitude, thanking everyone. Dispo tells him there's no need to be so formal. They were all skeptical about his arrival, but now he's one of them, and there's no need for that kind of thing anymore. Back in the present, Gohan calls out to Jiren, who responds. Tense and bracing himself, Gohan prepares to speak. He tells Jiren that he has a request. He says that in his entire life, he's never seen anyone fight his father the way Jiren did during the Tournament of Power. Gohan admits there's no doubt Jiren is extraordinary in every way. As Gohan speaks, Jiren watches him closely. In his thoughts, the Universe 11 warrior realizes that Besides Gohan's innate ability and natural fighting skill, his aura and appearance are different from his father's. Then, as Jiren briefly sees the image of Gohan's father behind him, the Saiyan asks the Grey Warrior to fight him with all his strength. Waiting for Kai to arrive, Gohan intends to push his limits, starting now. And that's how Chapter 12 of Dragon Ball Kakumei ends. Chapter 13 is titled Son Gohan vs Jiren the Grey, and as the cover for this chapter, we have this kind of poster announcing their fight. Honestly, it's a bit of a funny cover. After asking Jiren to fight him, Gohan slowly looks and turns to the other warrior. Gohan says that reaching his limits is all that matters right now, so he's going all in. Jiren nods in agreement. Toppo, watching with Margarita right behind him, asks her to protect the planet and its inhabitants. She promptly obeys, tapping her scepter on the ground and forming a barrier around them. Jiren gives her a thankful look and a smile, then turns back to Gohan with a more serious expression, telling the Saiyan to come at him. And Gohan does, launching himself at Jiren, already preparing a punch charged with power. But when he throws his fist, Jiren evades with an impressive burst of speed, leaving Gohan frustrated that he missed. Using a technique called the Galactic Donut, Gohan prepares to launch an energy ring at his opponent. But he doesn't even get the chance, as Jiren rushes him at an absurdly high speed, leaving no time for a reaction. Jiren grabs Gohan by the face and hurls him against the protective dome created by Margarita. The force of the throw is so great that Gohan ricochets from one side of the dome to the other until Jiren decides to end it by delivering a powerful downward punch. The impact smashes Gohan's head into the ground, then sends him bouncing back up as if his head had rebounded off the surface. Gohan is left completely dazed after the blow, suffering severe consequences. He staggers, falls to his knees, vomits blood, collapses to the ground, rolls over, vomits more blood, writhes in pain. But Jiren isn't finished. He walks toward Gohan, crouches down next to him, grabs him by the hair, and lifts him up. Gohan is already barely conscious. With his vision fading, Gohan looks at his opponent in front of him, panic rising as he realizes he's completely stunned and unable to move. Before he can even finish processing his despair, a devastating blow lands, darkening his vision even more. Jiren lets go of him, but before Gohan can hit the ground, a brutal elbow strikes him square in the face. And before he can fully collapse, Jiren leaps and stomps down on him, sending Gohan crashing back first into Margarita's energy barrier with incredible force. Gohan crashes chin first into the ground, nearly unconscious. Yet, in a surge of pure determination, Gohan refuses to lose consciousness, forcing himself to stay awake. Despite the intense internal injuries and unbearable pain, he begins to stand, defying all odds. This impresses Toppo, who now realizes that Gohan is no ordinary fighter. Jiren watches in silence, observing closely. Gohan advances with another punch, which is emptied by Jiren at the same time that the Grey's hand goes towards the Saiyan's face, smashing his fist against his face, sending Gohan sliding away. Gohan nearly falls, but recovers at the last moment, catching Jiren by surprise. In a swift counterattack, Gohan charges up a Kamehameha and unleashes his energy toward the Universe 11 warrior. Jiren charges headfirst through the Kamehameha, pushing through the energy wave as he closes in on Gohan once again. With a powerful uppercut, Jiren sends Gohan's blood splattering into the air, lifting him off the ground and completely disorienting him. Gohan is launched into the ceiling of Margarita's protective dome, only to come crashing down face first into the ground. Despite enduring yet another devastating blow, Gohan rises to his feet once more, surprising Jiren even further. Watching the young Saiyan's unwavering determination, Jiren is reminded of his own past. Just as Gohan now fights on, through sheer willpower, Jiren once did the same during his training with his master, enduring brutal kicks that sent him rolling across the ground like a dog. Even so, the young Jiren kept getting back up, insisting he wouldn't give up. His master, Gikin, would lecture him, saying that fighting just to become strong wasn't enough. Jiren needed to hold on to everything he had while fighting. Frustrated, Jiren would snap back, saying he had nothing to hold on to, nothing to lose. The only family he had was his master, Gichin. Eager to keep training, Jiren would charge forward again, only to receive another blow to the face, all while being called a fool. Gichin would tell him that Jiren must fight for his values and for the people he loves, no matter how few they are, because the day he truly has nothing, or the day he stops fighting for someone is the day the flame inside him would die. Jiren mustn't wait until his loved ones are in danger to fight for them. He needs to be strong for them before that time comes. This lesson brought tears to young Jiren's eyes and stirs the emotions of the adult Jiren even now. Back in the present, Jiren asks Gohan why he keeps getting back up. Gohan says because he still can. Something about Gohan's answer irritates Jiren, who suddenly releases a powerful aura of energy. Both fighters prepare for more, as Gohan concentrates his energy, forming several key orbs that float around him. But with a single punch, Jiren destroys all of them, landing a direct hit to Gohan's face. The impact is so great that Gohan is sent flying, spinning through the air like a top. Jiren doesn't even give Gohan the chance to hit the ground. He's already on him, driving Gohan's face into the ground with another brutal punch. The force of the strike is overwhelming, leaving Gohan completely dazed as he writhes in pain, trying to regain control of his body. Jiren approaches slowly, and with just a glance, he uses his telekinesis to lift Gohan off the ground, suspending the Saiyan in mid-air in front of him. As he walks past, Jiren strikes Gohan repeatedly with such insane speed that his movements are completely invisible. After this relentless barrage, Gohan is on the verge of losing consciousness. But Jiren won't let that happen. He commands Gohan to stay awake, delivering a powerful kick to his back to make sure he does. Gohan's spine partially folds under the impact of the blow, and though his vision is fading, he can still make out the figure of Jiren standing behind him. Jiren asks if, when the day comes that an opposing god of destruction confronts him with the intent to erase him and his friends, he truly believes his words will save him. Gohan collapses, but just as he hits the ground, something catches his eye, distracting and worrying him. A group of enemy soldiers is charging toward Dispo and Caceral, taunting them for sparing their lives earlier. Dispo and Caceral brace themselves for battle, but the look on their faces betrays their concern. Gohan tries to speak, but only blood comes out at first. When he finally manages to get the words out, he urges Jiren to help Dispo and Caceral. Jiren dismisses the request, telling Gohan to trust his comrades and reminding him that he's in no condition to do anything right now. Margarita, watching the scene unfold, asks Topo if he plans to do something to assist his comrades. Topo shakes his head and replies that Dispo and Caceral are only pretending danger. And sure enough, the two warriors don't appear to be in any real danger. Margarita then realizes the strategy behind this. Jiren turns back to Gohan, his expression unreadable, and asks one more time why he keeps getting back up. In that moment, Gohan seems to understand the question. His mind fills with thoughts of all the people he loves. Jiren seems to realize that this time Gohan has understood his question and found his answer. He then smiles and prepares to do something. Caceral notices what Jiren is intending to do and becomes very worried, asking him not to go too far. But Jiren doesn't listen. He concentrates his energy in his hand, making his power radiate. With his fist radiating power, Jiren advances with a punch, saying that it's time. With his exuberant muscles being pushed to the limit, the Gray calls forth his full power, declaring that this is the end. And then the punch comes. The figure of the Gray and his giant fist before the young Saiyan, who seems defenseless. But surprisingly, Gohan reacts and dodges, as something appears to awaken within him. Margarita notices when this happens and smiles. After the dodge, Gohan counterattacks, his fist concentrating an extremely high amount of power and determination. Fortunately, Jiren dodges, allowing the Saiyan to pass by with all of his attacking force. Jiren smiles. Then, he uses the power of his eyes, exerting a pressure that affects Gohan's mind, causing him to finally faint. Dispo and Caceral, who have already dealt with the troublemakers, smile in relief and approval. And that's how the battle ends, with Jiren showing his approval to the fallen Gohan. Even with this promising advancement that Gohan demonstrated, Topo doesn't seem very hopeful, emphasizing that 2 years is far too little time to prepare for stopping gods who have been training for millions of years. Meanwhile, Amaron, Dula, and Salaga prove Toppo's words right by humiliating the most powerful warriors from their respective universes. Gohan has made significant progress during this training period so far, but still, in Toppo's view, it's insufficient given the challenge they will have to face. If one of the warriors with the greatest potential from Universe 7 is insufficient, what will become of the others? And what will be Amaron's next steps? Find out in the next chapters of Dragon Ball Kakumei. What did you think of this part of Dragon Ball Kakumei? Leave your comments on what you liked and didn't like. If you haven't liked the video at the beginning, please do it now. It really helps the channel and shows us that you support bringing Dragon Ball Kakumei here. The more comments and likes this video gets, the more we'll know that you approve of us sharing content about Dragon Ball Kakumei. Also, don't forget to share this video so that more people can get to know our work and this incredible manga that deserves all the publicity possible. And to show me that you're a true Saiyan who made it to the end of the video, comment Gohan versus Jiren. A big hug to everyone who stayed with me until the end, and see you in the next video.